In this video, you will learn about how prepositional phrases function as adjectives and adverbs. A phrase is a group of related words that it is used as a single part of speech, but does not contain both a subject and a verb, and often will have neither of those things. Prepositional phrases include the preposition, the object of the preposition, and any modifiers of the object of the preposition. Prep phrases will usually begin with the preposition and end with the object of the preposition. And prep phrases most of the time function as adjectives and adverbs. When prep phrases functioned as adjectives, they do the same things that regular adjectives do. They modify nouns and pronouns, and they answer the adjective questions, what kind and which one. In the sentence, we ordered a piece of cake for dessert. Of cake is a prepositional phrase. When we're trying to determine how it's functioning in the sentence, we want to ask ourselves, what other word in the sentence is this phrase telling me more about? In this sentence, it's telling me more about what kind of piece. It's a piece of cake. So of cake is functioning as a phrase that modifies piece. In the sentence, no one in the class could solve the last math problem. In the class is a prepositional phrase. It tells me more about no one. So it's functioning as an adjective phrase modifying the pronoun one. Two or more adjective phrases may modify the same noun or pronoun. The picture of the baby on your desk is so cute. Of the baby is a prepositional phrase telling us more about the kind of picture. On your desk is also a prepositional phrase telling us more about the picture. So both of those phrases independently modify the noun picture and are functioning as adjective phrases. An adjective phrase may also modify the object of another prepositional phrase. The jungle gym at the playground near my house is Joshua's favorite. At the playground is a prep phrase, so is near my house. At the playground tells us more about which jungle gym. Near my house is telling us about which playground. But because it's modifying playground, which is as the object of the preposition is a noun, near my house is still functioning as an adjective phrase. When prep phrases function as adverbs, they do the same things adverbs do. They can modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. The bird flew through the air. Through the air tells us how or where the bird flew, so it's modifying a verb. Fred Astaire was graceful on the dance floor. On the dance floor is a prepositional phrase telling us how he was graceful. Graceful is, of course, a predicate adjective. The boy speaks quite well for a 2-year-old. For a 2-year-old is a prep phrase telling us to what extent he speaks well, which is another adverb telling us how the boy speaks. Adverb phrases also answer the same questions that single word adverbs do. When, where, why, how, and to what extent. Before the storm, my dog was anxious. Before the storm is a prep phrase telling us when the dog was anxious, anxious being a predicate adjective. He looked in the backyard. In the backyard is a prep phrase telling us where he looked. Many people paint for fun. For fun is a prep phrase telling us why people paint, which is a verb. Next weekend, we're going by plane to Florida. By plane is a prep phrase telling us how we're going. To Florida is another prep phrase telling us where we're going. They won the game by 3 points. By 3 points is a prep phrase telling us to what extent they won the game. Adverb phrases may come before or after the words they modify, and more than one adverb phrase may modify the same word. Throughout the game, he played with high energy. Throughout the game tells us when he played. With high energy tells us how he played. Regarding commas and prepositional phrases, in general, a long introductory prep phrase, especially one functioning as an adverb, is set off from the rest of the sentence with a comma. For example, during the long drive upstate, we saw many trees with beautiful foliage. Here we have a prep phrase that is 5 words. And while there isn't an exact rule regarding the number of words in the phrase that determine whether it's long or short, generally, phrases that have 5 words or more would be considered long. Also use a comma after an introductory prep phrase if 2 or more phrases appear together. For example, underneath the stars of the dark night sky, we felt small. So not only do I have a long phrase with of the dark night sky, but I have 2 phrases in a row, underneath the stars of the dark night sky. So that definitely requires a comma after that whole introductory element. Now it's time to practice. Here are 5 example sentences. Draw a box around each of the prep phrases in the sentences below. Then draw an arrow to the word being modified, determine the part of speech of that word, and then determine whether the prep phrase is functioning as an adjective or as an adverb. To do this, please pause the video. You can resume the video after you've finished doing the practice to hear the answers. Number 1, the green book on the bottom shelf is the one with poems by Robert Frost. In this sentence, the prep phrases are on the bottom shelf, with poems, and by Robert Frost. On the bottom shelf is telling us which book. With poems is telling us which one, and by Robert Frost is telling us which poems. Because on the bottom shelf modifies a noun, it functions as an adjective phrase. With poems modifies a pronoun and is therefore an adjective phrase. And by Robert Frost modifies a noun, poems. So it is also an adjective phrase. Number 2, during thunderstorms, my dog always hides in the shower. During thunderstorms and in the shower are the 2 prep phrases in the sentence. During thunderstorms tells us when the dog hides, and in the shower tells us where the dog hides. Because both of these phrases modify a verb, hides, both of them are functioning as adverb phrases. Number 3, Jessie works at the shoe store in the shopping center. At the shoe store and in the shopping center are the prep phrases. At the shoe store tells us where Jessie works. In the shopping center tells us which store we're talking about. So at the shoe store, since it's modifying a verb, is an adverb prep phrase. But in the shopping center is modifying a noun, store, so it's an adjective prep phrase. Try not to get confused here and think in the shopping center tells us where he works. Because of the structure of this sentence, in the shopping center is really telling us which shoe store does he work at. Since it answers which one and it modifies a noun, most importantly of all, it's an adjective prep phrase. Number 4, all of the students were excited about the upcoming vacation. Of the students and about the upcoming vacation are the 2 prep phrases. Of the students tells us more about all, which is an indefinite pronoun. And about the upcoming vacation tells us more about excited, which here is a predicate adjective. So of the students, modifying a pronoun is an adjective phrase. About the upcoming vacation, which modifies an adjective, is an adverb phrase. Number 5, despite their best efforts, the team still lost the last game of the playoffs. Despite their best efforts and of the playoffs are the two prep phrases. Despite their best efforts tells us how they lost, and of the playoffs tells us which game. So despite their best efforts, since it modifies a verb, lost is an adverb phrase, and of the playoffs modifies a noun, game, so it is an adjective phrase.